I'm Linda Viscardas, and this is the beautiful Linda White.
Oh, thank you.
And Linda White is a professional caregiver. She's a personal
support
support worker. And she's got a beautiful Irish accent. And we're going to talk about personal care. So, Linda, I'd like you to start by talking about how dignity comes into the whole area of personal support.
It's a big, large field, but I guess the most important thing is respecting people's rights. They have the right to refuse. They have the right to wear purple with black and pink if they choose. It's totally up to them. They have their own preferences, and you need to be very respectful of that. I think giving them choices, lots and lots of choices, instead of sort of saying, well, you're wearing this today, sort of, and if they have cognitive impairment, maybe giving them 2 or 3 choices, limiting it. Would you like to wear the black or the blue or the pink today? Always explaining what you're about to do before you do it, and getting sort of an agreement, verbal or otherwise, to sort of proceed.
What happens when you have somebody, you want to respect their rights to make their own decisions, but they're not really making a decision, or you perceive that they're not really making a decision? Is that a decision? Just that they're not making a decision? Are they giving you their voice for you to make the decision, or how does that work?
I would say if it's you have to kind of gauge and get to know. First of all, when you meet somebody new and you're working with them at the beginning, you have to get to know where they're at, whether they have the ability to say, no, I am not brushing my teeth today. But if it's a lot of people with dementia have a fear of water. So you can redirect, like stop and then just reapproach in a whole different way. I had a gentleman that was a soldier, and he refused point blank to get out of bed. So I'd knock on the door and I'd go, it's 0700, time to get up. And he'd jump up out of bed, and I said, get into the bathroom and get ready for the day. And off he'd go, and he'd do it. You find out the background, and you adjust your care accordingly. That's
Wow.
how I take it anyway. So
Gosh, well, that is amazing. So building rapport,
Getting
it
to
really
know-
comes together with the dignity and rights.
yeah. So you get to know your client, and you get to know about their family, their likes, their dislikes, and that you're not going to walk in straight away to somebody and say, okay, take all your clothes off and get into the shower. It's very, very hard for some people, and you have to respect that. The first visit, if you get nowhere, just to sit and have a conversation, that's perfectly okay.
Wow.
Explain why you're there and what you want, and what their preferences are, what you're going to do today.
So what happens when somebody might have had a difficult relationship with another personal support worker in the past, and their trust level is very low? What would you do in a case like that to help build that back up again?
Take it very slow and get to know them on a personal level. Look at, oh, I see you've got a picture there of your granddaughter. How old is she? I have, try and find some common ground. And if it takes 2 weeks, if you get an arm done today, you get an arm washed today. Build that slowly. Build it very slowly. Another lady I have, you get her into the bath and you feed her ice cream. If you go in the bath, or you call it a spa day, we're not going to have a bath, you're going to have a spa day today. You find the different ways, you find there's always a way. It's like you've got a lock with about 12 keys, you to find the right key. That's the best. Wow. I can kind of.
Can you speak about the energy that you bring into the home when you arrive? What your energy does, how it impacts your client?
First of all, I think it's important not to be judgmental, and to be very open-minded. We usually you'll get a little bit of information before you go in, but you've got to find your own sort of information about that person, and get to know them, and leave your baggage at the door, and come in with a totally open mind. And, you know, with a lot of clients, it takes good 6 months really to get into that sort of rapport where there's that trust. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here. I'll be on time. You know, if I say I'm going to be here at 9, I'll be here at 9. I won't be here at 10 and not bother to call you, because you have that, I will give you that respect.
Beautiful.
Okay, because a lot of people, they just come whenever they feel like it, don't call ahead, and that's straight away you're at a disadvantage.
Yeah, I find that there are some supporters that they don't see the importance of, you know, doing what you say you're going to do. So if I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock, you can trust that I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or if I say I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock and I can't be there at 9 o'clock, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
And
that's straight away. That's what I say to when I'm going out with new people. Just a phone call. Because if you just rap on the door at 11 o'clock and they're not expecting you, straight away you've hit a wall.
Exactly.
Straight away you're starting the relationship off on the wrong foot.
And then what happens when you come in and you've hit that wall? How does that impact how you're able to do your job?
The whole situation, or you just walk over and pick up the phone and start using it. You know, it doesn't matter what cognitive impairment the client has. You turn around and you say, would it be okay if I quickly used your telephone? It won't be long distance. I'm not talking to anybody. It's just so they know where I am.
Wow.
You know, may I have a quick look at your care plan? Where do you keep it? Do you mind if I sit down? You don't just come in, kick your shoes off, pick up the phone and plonk yourself, you know, on the couch. You treat everybody with that dignity and respect that they deserve, no matter what their cognitive impairment or their level of agreement.
That's beautiful. So now I'd like to get into some fairly specific kinds of things, like what to do when. So we'll start with some fairly broad things and then maybe get into some more specifics. But can you talk a little bit about that conversation that you have with your client? You already said about asking permission and whatnot, but just say, for instance, if the person has a visual impairment, how do you go about providing the care, and what kind of conversation are you having with the client at that time?
Okay, so if it's a new client or something, no matter what, I guess you would just say, explain what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and when you're going to do it, and permission to proceed. So, okay, Linda, I'm just going to wash your face. Okay, and then I'm going to wash your ears. All little things. I'm just going to run the bath right now. You know, you just explain every step, everything and get that it doesn't even have to be verbal. You know, a nod, an okay, proceed.
An acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that if you had to leave the room, or if you had to, you know, I don't know, if the person is sight impaired, and they don't see where you are, if you're moving around in the room, you might describe where you are or what you're doing over there.
I have somebody that have those specific needs, and there's a constant rapport.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to get your clothes out. All right, I'm just going to put this garbage out. I'll be back in just a second. Okay, I'm just going to turn your bath on and run it now. I'm just going to open the blind. It just comes automatically to me now because I've done it for so long with this person. But I'm just going to turn on your light when I get there. I'm just going to turn on, I don't turn on the lights and open the blinds and then say, hi, how are you? Hi, it's me. You know, I'm just going to turn on the light. Is that okay? Would you like music today? You know, so every little thing, but it just comes, but everything you're about to do. And be aware of loud noises, because people with an impairment usually have heightened other senses, so heightened hearing. So banging drawers and banging stuff without any explanation. Another thing is a fly in the room.
Oh.
Buzzing around their head can drive them crazy. They can't see it, but they know it's there. Like little things, just try very hard, but try to put yourself in their position.
Wow, that's so great. I'm also thinking about people who have high anxiety. So knowing that there's somebody with high anxiety, that there might be something that's bothering them, but you might not know because they're so anxious that they're not able to tell you. you just know that when you come in the door, even though you're bringing a positive energy, and you can see or you can feel that there's that anxiety is there. What would you do in a case like that when you know that the person is feeling that high anxiety?
Before I start, I try to get them calm. So if they're at a 10, I come in at a 2.
Yeah.
What do you need today? What's wrong? Is there anything I can do to help you? You know, and just gently rubbing the arm, and, you know, it's okay. Just relax. We're not going to do anything that you don't want to do. You know, is there anything I can help you with? Do you need something right now? That's sort of very calm, and sort of, you will see, and how about we take a deep breath and calm down? You know, and you can sometimes see them relax.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that when you use that approach, a person who is highly anxious and who is not really able to communicate well when they're anxious, when they calm down, do you find that they communicate better, that they're able to open up more?
Yes. I think you've got to give them time, and you've got to give them space, and you've got to give them that respect, and don't proceed until you see that sort of calm down and relax, you know.
Where do you see humor in how you provide care? Do you use humor a lot?
Sometimes. It depends on, you know, if it was an anxious day, or depending on the person. But usually, yeah, you do. You know, you just find everybody, for what's funny to one person isn't to the other, but you find, again, what makes that person tick. And, you know, you can introduce humor into it, for sure.
That's amazing. Now I'd like to get to some more specific things. What about when you're, say you've got a client, and they've got a team of people that are supporting them, and so there's all other people who are providing whatever level of care they provide, whatever it is that they're supposed to be focusing on. But you come in and you see that, you know, maybe some of the clothing isn't as in good repair as you'd like, or there's some things missing that you feel should be there, like I'm thinking equipment, like maybe gloves or just different things like that. Or it could be that you know, it's getting cold and I can't find a cardigan, or these kinds of things. How do you deal with those kinds of situations when you come in and you observe that there's something lacking, or there's something that isn't quite up to your level of care?
If there's a sort of a person in the home that kind of oversees that person's care, kind of try to communicate with them. You know, I'm concerned about this, and that shouldn't, you know, is missing, or do you know where this is? Or we could use some more socks because our socks have all holes in them, or his socks, or whatever. And unfortunately, if it doesn't go from there, I have to report to my supervisor.
Okay.
And work. So that I'm supposed to go there first, but I would try and get it sorted out within the team. And then if that didn't work, then if it was of real concern, then go to the...
So some situations, there's just the person that you're supporting that's there. There's no other person in the home, but they have a communication book. How would you use a communication book to communicate these things? What would you do? What would be the expectation, I guess, about that kind of communication?
Communication books are wonderful. They're very wonderful. Supposing a daughter comes in like once a week to get the groceries and pick up stuff you need, I guess you'd have to try to be specific. They don't need to know I played the piano and Robert listened all day and then we had tea and cookies.
Yeah.
Because then they have to read an awful lot of stuff. Try to be relevant and to the point, you know, and maybe ask for a response so they are an initial, so you know they've read it and understood. Try and get some feedback from them. But, you know, Robert needs new socks today. I noticed that all of his old ones have holes in them. Could you pick up some more, or whatever that might be, and look for an answer.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I love the idea of getting an answer, because there's nothing more frustrating than just, I don't know, did anybody read it?
Yes, an initial or something.
Yes.
Some sort of a response back. I got your message and I don't agree with you. That's fine.
Yes.
I'll buy socks. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so even more specific, a situation where say for instance, there's I don't know, maybe there's a few PSWs that are going into the home. Or there's a few people who are providing different types of support. And you notice that some of the personal care, like the really intimate personal care, you've got a standard of 10, Linda, and I know you, like your standard up to a standard of 10 is probably at around 20. But what if you notice that there isn't that level
of care?
Yeah.
That happened actually the other day. I just left a highlighted note, attention everybody, please pay more attention to pericare on this person. It is very important, and I noticed it was lacking. Yeah. If you have any questions, phone me at home. I'll go through it with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because that is something that I think, from what I understand, first of all, it's not acceptable.
No.
It's has
just
to be
slipping.
Yeah.
And it's if you're certified a personal support worker, you've been taught how to do proper.
Okay, well that was going to be my question. Like, we have the standard of 10 or a Linda standard of 20, but if it's not up to that level, is it because they haven't been taught how to do it?
I think not always. I think it's just people cut corners and just don't do their job. And it's very, very important, because looking at the broader picture, it can affect that person's health, because particularly with women, they can end up with urinary tract infections. It can cause isolation because they smell.
Yeah.
And therefore it can lead to depression because they are isolated. So you not doing your job properly can lead to a really horrible situation for that person.
Wow.
You're responsible. That person could end up, well, I'm not inviting mum for dinner tonight, like she just has a terrible odour to her. And that has happened.
Wow. And when you consider that some of the people that you support would be using disposable briefs,
yes,
that makes it even more so, right?
Yeah.
Because they are in a soiled...
And they're depending on you.
Exactly, and they can't do it themselves.
No, and they don't have a voice. It's up to you to make sure that person is meticulously clean.
Wow. And there must be some sense of joy, some kind of positive, when you realize that you've gotten your person all ready for the day, and they're spick and span, and they're happy, and they're all ready for the day. Can you talk a little bit about that, how you feel when all of that's been done, and it's been done to that high standard?
You see it in the person, you see it in their connections with people. You go back in and you say, oh, guess what, I was out, I did this, I did that. And, or you take them out and their daughter or their, oh, you look so nice today, Mum, so, you've done their hair nicely and brushed their teeth and put on a little jewelry or whatever it might be. And, you get that feedback. You do get, it comes back 100 times. You do your job well, it's like a present every day. It really is.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any other specific things, like you mentioned about, just rubbing a person's arm if they're feeling anxious, but do you have any other specific suggestions around touch and how a simple touch might be what's needed, or when you would use touch, or when you would avoid using touch? Because some people are very sensitive and wouldn't want...
Again, you gauge, you're going in maybe to an 85-year-old man for the first time, and he's never been naked in front of anybody apart from his mum when he was a baby, and his wife, who he's been married to for 50, 60 years. And it's very hard. It's very difficult. You try and put that person at ease. While they're undressing, you throw a little towel over their lap. And when they're in the shower, you do the same thing. They never have to be totally undressed. You try and create a level that they're comfortable with. Nice. You try and turn your back. You try and, always keep them covered up. As with anybody, when I'm doing personal care on anybody, I never have them totally naked, ever. They're always covered at some point. And if you think about that yourself, like if you're doing pericare, you would always keep the top half covered and always explain exactly what you're going to do.
Beautiful. Wow.
Yeah. Also, when you're giving care, You're not just washing somebody and putting cream on them. That's your opportunity to find lumps, bumps, bruises, changes. So you're looking at the skin, you're feeling, that lump wasn't there yesterday. Whoa, that's a big, where did that bruise come from on the side? And if you find anything like that, obviously you would document it. But you're using your touch, you're using your smell, and you're using your sight.
Wow.
If something is wrong, that urine smells very strong today.
Yeah, that's a really good thing to know.
Yeah.
Do you ever do documentation with like a phone, like a picture? You don't do anything like that? Just writing in the
No.
document?
Write it and then or observe, report, record.
Okay.
That's my...
Right. And if you observe something like a bump or a bruise or whatever, who do you report to? Do you just, if there's somebody in the home, do you report to them? Do you write it in a communication book?
Home and in the communication book so the family know, and then I would record it on the back of my documentation.
Okay.
Which then goes to the office and is kept for 5 years, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. If it was something very serious, I would phone the office right away and get hold of a supervisor and say, this person has, a massive unexplained bruise on their back, which I've had. I've had a lady that had a stroke and she was black and blue, and I got her on her own and I said, what's happening? She said, my husband. Oh. So I was able to get her out of there. But that sort of stuff you don't, if you feel there's abuse at any rate, you must report. Yes. But not only that, you're looking for any new, with somebody that's incontinent, you're looking for, any soreness or redness, so it doesn't...
Skin breakdown.
Doesn't get any worse.
Right,
yeah.
Right. And then keeping kind of on top of it to make sure that it's starting to heal, and if there's any kind of change in
if it has to be nursing called in, phone and say, listen, I'm concerned about this wound, can we call nursing in?
Okay. And would you do that?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. That's really good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The case manager, or if somebody's getting more rigid, they're having pain, I can call in and say, I suggest that the case manager looking at getting physio in, or this person isn't managing as well on the top, maybe get an occupational therapist to come in and review the equipment in the home and suggest new things.
Okay, so would you call the Access Centre directly or
no,
through your supervisor?
Through the supervisor.
Okay.
I'd call the supervisor and say, I noticed this.
Yes.
And I'm concerned, and I think they would benefit from having, and 90% of the time that works.
Okay, that's good to know
too. Yeah,
it's good to know that chain of communication, right?
But I'm like a dog with a bone. Once I get it, I follow up and say, did you talk to the case manager? What did they say? Like, I don't let it just there. I've done my bit.
Right.
So I usually wait and see what the feedback was.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else that you can think of that we should be aware of?
Off the top of my head, probably when I get in my car there'll be 100, but no, I think we've pretty much covered dignity, respect, respect for their culture, their, you've got to respect, you're in their home. And it's up to that person, even if it's weird, that's what they like.
Right.
You do it.
And it's their weird, right?
Yes. Once it's legal, it's good.
Yes, we must say that. It has to be legal.
Yeah.
Well, that's really great. Okay, well, thank you very much for spending this time with me today, Linda. I really appreciate it. And I know that this conversation will be really helpful for a lot of people.
Good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right.
Okay.